YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back. Today I'm ranking the top 32 NFL corners heading into the 2021 season. At the end of the video, I'll also rank the top 10 slot defenders for the upcoming season. So we get outside corners and the slot defenders, maybe the hardest position to play, arguably after quarterback here. It's another one where, I rank a lot of young players, even rookies in other position groups. This one where it's the younger crowd of players, tougher to get towards the top tier players. But these are the top half of the guys, because remember that every team has at least 2 starting corners. So everybody on this list is a very good cornerback here. We got safeties next. We pretty much did every other position group. We'll rank coaches. We'll rank units, offenses, defenses. So we got you covered. Hopefully you join us for that. Smash that like button, subscribe, follow our Twitter. Must follow. Link in the description and comments for anything you need like that. Here's our Twitter. Always sneak peeks, updates on NFL news, channel news. So check it out. Again, link down below. Here we go. 32, Bashaud Breeland, now with the Vikings coming from the Chiefs. I think a very underrated corner. What people don't realize, I think a lot of these guys throughout this list, I think when people rank corners, they kind of just go look at how many yards they gave up, how many catches they gave up. It's really not the way to do it. What coverage are they in most of the time compared to other corners? How about the plays, the stops that they make that really don't result in interceptions? I think people focus on interceptions, how many yards they give up. Not the way to do it when it comes for cornerbacks. Breeland, physical corner. Love the way he attacks the ball underneath on a pass, or very good tackler coming up and stopping the run. A lot of press man action. I think going to the Minnesota Vikings, he's going to run a lot more cover too. He's going to simplify things for the cornerback, so I think he actually could have better play here. Joe Hayden coming at 31 is declining a little bit. It definitely helps that he has a pretty damn good front seven. I thought Steven Nelson maybe was playing a little better than him. He's currently a free agent, so we didn't rank him. But Joe Hayden, still a solid corner. Used to be one of the top corners, but yeah, again, could take a little bit of a step down here. Kendall Fuller, Washington football team, played pretty damn well last year. Better than expected. Was a kind of a slot corner guy that could play some safety before. And then the Washington football team used him outside. He played pretty well. His job actually could become easier. William Jackson maybe covering the ones there. We'll see. Jalen Johnson, the second-year corner from the Bears. Like I said, cornerbacks, the young group of guys, it takes a while to develop and stay consistent to get to the top. But I still rank Jalen Johnson. He was very impressive last season. First half of the year, for a rookie, he played out of his mind. Second half of the year, came down to earth a little bit, was still playing well. Tougher task this year with Kyle Fuller gone. Now he's going to cover more of the number ones. There was times where he did do that anyways. So we'll see. It could be a little more of a challenging. So many times we see those young corners, they kind of go back and forth, stay inconsistent. It takes a while to kind of be a consistent, developed corner. So we'll see how he does. But another one here, A.J. Terrell, really impressed me the second half of the year last year for the Falcons. He was super impressive. Did not expect him. First half of the year, he struggled a little bit, but the second half of the year, I thought he was the best rookie corner. I thought Jalen Johnson was the first half of the year, Terrell the second half of the year. But yeah, he was very impressive, very sticky in coverage, attacking the ball, being a playmaker, even when he didn't make those interceptions. So, again, he was impressive. Now you got a great defensive mind. Dean Pease coming in could only help A.J. Terrell. And he was already kind of covering number one receivers. So I like that about him. Janoris Jenkins, another solid veteran corner who could be declining. And why I say it like that is because we kind of saw him declining on the Giants, and then he goes to the Saints. He plays a little better. I thought he even played a little better last year as well. So is he declining? A little bit of a question, but was it a Saints thing? Was he better because he was on the Saints? How will he be with the Titans here? They could have a pretty good duo with him and rookie and Caleb Farley there as well. Darius Williams kind of stepped up out of nowhere last year, was very impressive. He played like a better than a number 26 corner. More responsibilities this year will have because he'll have more snaps, more of an opportunity because he didn't play nearly as many snaps as Jalen Ramsey and Troy Hill did last year. But he started to at the end of the season when the Rams realized, hey, this guy's pretty good. So we'll see how if he continues to play at that level. Still some things to prove, but it was damn impressive. Trayvon Mullen, I believe in Trayvon Mullen for sure. I actually think, a little bold, I think he could be a future top 10 corner a couple years here. He's still young, still developing. And this is another one of those guys where people will remember those, there was a primetime game later in the year, I believe it was the Chargers game, where he got beat up pretty good there. Pretty bad for his sake, I should say. And people will remember those things. But if you put the season together as a whole, even when he got beat, I still saw some things I liked. That's what people ignore. Is he sticky in coverage? Does he have good technique? Also, I did not like the way that defense was coached. Now you got Gus Bradley in there. He's going to run more cover 3. I think Mullen could thrive in cover 3, but his bright moments, his bad moments were pretty bad, but his bright moments were pretty damn bright last year. I think Trayvon Mullen for sure has a future, at the cornerback position. I think he's got a bright future. Next group of guys, Dory Jackson at 24. I think we got some people, mainly the Giants, maybe the Giants fans, overrating Adoree Jackson quite a bit. This guy hasn't finished the season. We haven't seen him a whole lot. Even when he did play, he's solid, but we're still basing it off his raw potential. He has that. We knew that at USC. USC, he got beat all the time at USC, but we saw the traits, we saw the athleticism. He has so much potential, and that's what the Giants paid him off of. Hopefully he stays healthy. Hopefully he reaches that potential. Don't get me wrong, he's a solid corner. I ranked him in the top 32 when there's at least 2 starters on each team, if we want to factor in slot defenders as well, which we'll get to. But Adoree Jackson needs to stay healthy, and he needs to continue to develop a little bit. I think there is people out there ranking him too high based on what he's shown us. And I know I'm predicting for this upcoming season, but it's not a whole lot of expectations for me. But again, he's in the top half here. Xavier Rhodes at 23. Tough one to rank because Xavier Rhodes maybe was the best cornerback in football at one point, and all of a sudden he just took a dive almost, and he wasn't even near the top. Then he goes to the Colts last year, and he played pretty well. I think the first half of the season he played out of his mind. Second half of the season kind of came back down to earth a little bit. And I think that has to do with the cover 2 scheme. I think teams started to figure out the Colts defense a little bit. So I don't think he'll play as well as he did last year. It's not a corner that's really getting better, even though he stepped up last year. I think it was because of his scheme. It was simplified for him. It's what works for Xavier Rhodes. But yeah, I think he plays a little more like the second half of the season from last year. And his former teammate, Trey Waynes. I think people forget about Trey Waynes. Maybe mainly because he missed all of last season. Hopefully he's healthy. But the last couple of years on the Vikings, he was actually the best corner on the Vikings over a guy like Xavier Rhodes. He was actually playing pretty well. Trey Waynes was a guy that was very disappointing coming into the league. The first few years, he struggled quite a bit. But he was kind of a late bloomer, which is common for cornerbacks, and there's a reason the Bengals paid him that money. So this is going to rely on him being healthy, but I think he can play. Casey Hayward used to be a top-tier corner, has fallen down a little bit. He specifically needs a scheme, cover 3 scheme. That's why he was released from the Chargers and going to the Raiders, Gus Bradley, where he's coached, but still a very solid corner. I like Hayward and Trayvon Mullen. It's a pretty good dig. I got both their duo in the top half here. That's a good sign. Going forward. Jason Verrett at 20. Jason Verrett's very good. Talent-wise, he's better than 20. Can he finish a whole season? Can he stay healthy? He was actually pretty healthy last year, which was a surprise. This guy's so quick with his feet, so good attacking the ball, can be physical. You do worry about the health. But if he stays healthy, he's damn good. Jamel Dean, one of the Bucs corners, on the rise, getting better and better. Worried about the health for him coming out of Auburn a few years ago. Been pretty healthy and playing pretty damn good. He, for the most part, covers the 2s, but continued to show that he can get better, especially throughout the playoffs there. Shaq Griffin at 18. Kind of been a little inconsistent. 1 week looks like, okay, this could be a future top 10 corner. 1 week, not so much. The Seahawks didn't have the best pressure rate on quarterbacks, so I guess that makes the job harder for corners. So maybe his job is a little harder. Going to the Jacksonville Jaguars, we'll see if they get pressure. They couldn't really get it last year. I think they'll get a lot more, and that could make Griffin's job easier here. And he's really not, cornerbacks. He's not really entering his prime yet, but he's getting close, so he could actually start to step up. J.C. Jackson at 17 is a playmaker, straight up playmaker, attacks the ball, gets the ball. The people that, base a lot off interceptions may have him higher. He's a guy that can be beat or can make that play. He's not a lockdown corner in any way, but I like his playmaking ability. I was shocked that he went undrafted a few years ago because I had a 3rd-round grade from him out of Maryland, and he's been playing pretty damn well for the Patriots. So going to play on that tender. We'll see how he does, see if they extend him. They got to extend him and Gilmore. Maybe they have other plans. Next group of guys here, Patrick Peterson going from the Cardinals to the Vikings. I love the idea of Patrick Peterson on the Vikings and Mike Zimmer's scheme there. The Cardinals ran as much press man coverage as anybody in the NFL. You talk about Patrick Peterson, a guy in his 30s now. Where is he winning off of today for his game? It's his knowledge, it's his instincts. Typically, those types of corners will struggle a little more in press man. The athletic guys, the faster guys that can keep up and that also have physicality but keep up with the speed. Those guys will thrive in press man. He'll go to a cover 2 scheme where I think he can be a playmaker where he'll thrive and just use his instincts. So his job got an insane amount easier. Playing corner for the Cardinal scheme last year was extremely tough. So I like Patrick Peterson with the Vikings there. William Jackson hasn't really been ranked here quite yet, but I think he will be for this season. Going to the Washington football team, he's trying to enter his prime. He's right there with Ron Rivera leading the way there, coaching him up with that ridiculous defense, mainly that pass rush that will get pressure and make the cornerback's job easier. Room for plays there, plays to be made. So I like William Jackson here for Washington. Marshawn Lattimore, the Saints, he's got some legal issues. Nothing has come of that yet. I think he'll be playing, but I guess that's something to keep an eye on. But a guy, maybe we expected him to be a little better when we first came in at Ohio State. He played out of his mind early on, but hasn't really played to that hype, honestly, since then, but has played solid. Saints will run a lot of 2-man under. They'll always have safety help, but 2-man under, it's almost your responsibility to play man coverage, stay on your guy no matter where he goes, but you also got to keep an eye on the flat there, not leave anything up. So it is actually a pretty tough task to play cornerback for the Saints, but they do have help with the safeties over the top. But yeah, Lattimore, just would like him to stay a little more consistent. He's seen times where he plays like an elite corner, and then he's way off that game at some point. Carlton Davis played out of his mind last year for the Buccaneers. Was phenomenal attacking the ball, coming up and attacking the ball, pass deflection machine. Showed up in big-time games, got better throughout the playoffs as well. He's going to continue to grow. They got that big-time Auburn cornerback duo over there. That's, they actually got a good trio too, and they really showed in the playoff run there. So another guy that's going to continue to get better here. He comes in at 13. Next up, we got Denzel Ward at 12. This is kind of where he could start to break out a little bit. I know Denzel Ward's another Ohio State corner that's pretty hyped up. Based on the hype, I don't really think he's played to where people hype him, but he's very good. I got him at 12. But I'm still waiting for more. I'm still waiting for him to break out a little more here. For a guy that's not the biggest guy, I like the way he comes up and attacks the ball and is physical. I like that a lot about him. He's good at covering kind of underneath, across the field, downfield. So I think he can really put it together and be something special. I'm still waiting to see it completed though, but it's not a big deal because he's still a young corner. Young corners, tend not to be number 12 at this point of their careers. Darius Slay at 11. Played pretty bad last year. He got beat quite a bit. He really didn't have any help. He does have a pretty good front, though, where they get pressure. But it felt like it was kind of odd that Slay was kind of getting picked on more than the weaker corners they had. But now that the defense does feel like could be a little better, he can play a little better. I still think he has it in him. Even the plays, you kind of got to go back. The plays that he got beat, he was right there. They're so close to being plays made by Slay. And, if you throw another season in there with those same plays, anything could happen where he makes those plays instead. So still a very solid corner. I think his play will be a lot better than it was last year, especially with the defense getting better around him. Kyle Fuller was a surprise release by the Bears going to the Broncos. Familiar face, coach Vic Fangio there. That definitely helps. Fuller's another guy that I think really elevated his game in terms of attacking the ball, especially, tackling. I thought he was a phenomenal tackler this season. A guy that started a little slow as well in his career, but it really took off recently. So the Broncos desperately need a number 1 corner. They got that with Kyle Fuller there. Byron Jones at number 9. I thought, he had a solid season last year. I expected a little better. I'm still thinking, I don't think he played like a top 10 corner last year, but I think he will this year. Remember he was not too long ago, he was a safety. So he's actually still getting better at the cornerback position. Another year with the duo, Xavien Howard, another year with that defense. Brian Flores' defense, with the defense in general, has gotten better. You look at the safety position's gotten better with Javon Holland. You look at the front's gotten better with pass rush. So I think that makes pretty much not just Byron Jones better, but everyone better. So it's a guy that can just take off at any given time here. Next group of guys, I got James Bradbury at number 8. A couple years ago, I would not expect to be looking in the future, be ranking James Bradbury in the top 8 here, in the top 10, really anywhere near it. But this guy's getting a lot better almost by the week, and going forward to another year where he's kind of entering that prime age of the cornerbacks. This guy, he's going to get even better. He's going to get even better. He locks down number one receivers. He's very good at attacking the ball, almost like a lockdown type corner. A big reason why the Giants defense is where it's at. So I'm loving the way James Bradberry is playing. It's actually a bit of a surprise to me. But again, he's a guy that will get better here. I think the top 7 is pretty clear cut. These 7 are kind of in a league of their own, but the way Bradberry is improving, definitely can enter that. Marcus Peters, probably one of my favorite corners of all time, was a big-time draft hit for me. This is a playmaker that also could be a lockdown corner at times. I don't know if there's not too many corners in the league, in NFL history that could read the quarterback at the same time of playing the receiver at the same exact time like Marcus Peters. He's an absolute playmaker. And the Ravens are only able to run their defense, run a lot of cover zero, blitz the inside linebackers, blitz that much, because they're cornerbacks. And it starts with the veteran, the leader, and Marcus Peters here. Cornerback is not the most important position on defense, in my opinion. But when it's the Ravens, it is the most important position on the field, on the entire field. And Marcus Peters is a big-time part of that. Tre'Davious White at 6, at any given time, he could look like the number one corner in football. He really has to carry that corner. He does have a good safety group, but he has to carry that corner group a bit. The Chiefs were really attacking him. He had a hard time keeping up with speed. Felt like he was chasing guys at times, which I actually saw in his younger days, and then he kind of cleaned that up. But even though it's from the start of the ball, does he get beat off the ball? And he kind of cleaned that up a bit. But I think a good mixture of being a lockdown and a playmaker at the same time. I wish they would get better at the opposite corner. I think that would make him a lot better. Stephon Gilmore is at number 5. At any given time, he could be the best corner in football. It felt like he was just 2 years ago. I think injuries have slowed him down. The minor injuries. It sounds more than minor, actually. He's still trying to rehab from that, and he's looking for a contract at the moment. So that could affect him. The young corners entering their prime and getting a lot better kind of hops Stephon Gilmore. Can we trust him to stay 100% healthy? Are the Patriots getting a deal done? Is he going to be on the field? I think he'll be on the field. But he comes in at number 5. But again, a guy that can be number 1 at any given time. The big top 4 here, any of them could be number 1. Really, I'm pretty firm on my number 1. But Marlon Humphrey, number 4, part of that Ravens duo. Very hard to play corner for the Ravens. A lot of press man, a lot of being left on an island because they're blitzing. They bring the safeties up. There's a lot of times where they don't have a guy in the back, like a free safety. You are on an island. You are by yourself. You have to be insanely talented, and Marlon Humphrey is so physical, so athletic. I can always say it. He was kind of just an athlete coming out of Alabama. Former track star, and the physicality that he added to his game, absolutely ridiculous. And he's taken over to be the best corner. You have Marcus Peters on the team, and you're the best corner. It's pretty ridiculous. Love that duo. What makes the Ravens defense so good? It feels like a number 1 corner in football. It just shows how good these guys are up here. Xavien Howard at 3, the best playmaking corner in football. One of my big-time draft hits as well. Loved him out of Baylor. He's just plain and simple the best playmaking corner, and sometimes those playmaking corners could get beat a lot, and they're only interception or bust type of guys, but not Xavien Howard here. There's really nothing splitting up him and Alexander. It was kind of tough for me. I think Howard kind of played like this 3 years ago. I knew this was coming. Alexander seems to be getting better at a rapid rate. So that was kind of the slight difference there. But Howard, when he's on the field, you got a playmaker out there. You got to be very careful because this guy will read. The quarterback's got to be careful because he'll read your eyes. He'll know where you're throwing. So just a phenomenal talent, playmaking corner there. Will change the game. That's the big reason why the defense of the Dolphins was so good is because they were getting takeaways. They were getting those big-time takeaways to change the game. It's a playmaker and game changer here in Xavien Howard. Jaire Alexander really took off last year. I remember the first time I seen him play at Louisville, I knew this guy was going to be special. He's just got that. He's got that swagger. He's just got all the traits as well. Physicality. He'll come up and hit you. I wish. One thing I think. I wish he'll take a little better angles on tackles if he's got to go across the field. But if the ball's underneath, he'll fly up and he'll smack you in the mouth. He's more of a playmaker than given credit for. If he at any given time, I think he could lead the league in interceptions. I really do, and most people won't say that. He's a playmaker in big time moments. He's just so dominant, so tight in coverage. See receivers going off, and then they got to go play Alexander the next week. And then he just completely shuts them down. I remember Calvin Ridley was one example last year, just completely shuts them down. And again, the scary thing is, he's still young. He just came out of Louisville a few years ago. He's getting better. The cornerbacks that young aren't supposed to really be up here, and he is. Number one corner in football is Jalen Ramsey for me. Even though Alexander, Howard, Humphrey, Gilmore, White, they feel like number one in the league guys, and they're close, but yet so far because Jalen Ramsey's just that good. He's kind of got everything I just explained from everyone, the last three guys kind of combined into one. He's the most feared corner. The most feared corner in the NFL is going to be my favorite corner, my best corner, because it just changes the game. There's so many games you see that, you just eliminate one side of the field. And, it's pretty damn impressive when, like I said, a guy like Alexander eliminates that side of the field even when getting thrown at. But Ramsey going into the game, the team just already goes, we're not even going to throw over there. And that's just ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous that his presence means that much. I don't know if there hasn't been too many corners where the presence has done that much, because if he was thrown at more, he can be more of a playmaker that people want him to be. He could be that. That's the beauty of the most feared, the lockdown corners. They're actually deep down playmakers. People just don't realize it. Some of these guys, Ramsey, Alexander, really they are. And it's crazy when Ramsey was coming out. I mean, he was a top tier sure thing prospect, but was he a safety? Was he a corner? That's pretty crazy that he's that good of a corner when, he could have played safety. He could be the best safety in football at the same time, but he's definitely in the right position. In the press ability, ridiculous. The ability to, in cover four, they run a lot of cover four just to get that whole lane on the side of the field. He controls the sideline as well. Tackling ability seems to be getting better. He comes up and just smacks you. How many stops did he have on third down? It was ridiculous. To be third down, or even if it was second down, and a team's trying to get that first down, he made sure he gave it his all and made that stop right before the sticks. Not too many corners consistently do that. So Ramsey, number one. I actually thought he was the best defensive player in football last year. I know Aaron Donald is viewed as the best, and I agree with that, and it's his teammate. But just what he was able to do at maybe the hardest position to play on the defensive side of the ball last year and eliminate almost a whole 50% of the field. It's just mind-blowing stuff. So I got Ramsey at one, but some of these guys, I mean, they're the cornerback group here. Some of these guys are so damn good. They're top-tier players. I'm calling them elite. If they're able to play this hard of a position at that high of a level, I think they're elite. Slot defenders, top 10 slot defenders. Can't forget about these guys. I got Kenny Moore at one. Don't really have to think about it at all. Kenny Moore, another dominant season last year. I like his ability to play outside when they need him as well. In the red zone, he had some plays on the outside in the red zone, or sometimes from the slot. Teams would like to get those legal pick plays and send the slot guy to the corner of the end zone, and it's a deadly play. But Kenny Moore just locking it down. Can be a playmaker, can be a lockdown guy. If he was an outside corner full time, he'd probably be in the top 10 outside corners as well. He's that good. Chris Harris Jr. of the Chargers. It's not a guarantee for him ever that he'll be a slot corner. Like he'll play outside as well. He had almost about 50%, top of my head, just under 50%, possibly at slot corner last year. So that's heavy load at slot. So I put him there. And I like their young corner. I think Asante Samuel Jr. works very well for them, so I think he'll have a bright rookie year. Even Mike Hilton going from the Steelers to the Bengals, I love where he's taken his game. He's actually gotten better. One part of me thinks, it's probably easier to play corner for the Steelers, slot corner for the Steelers than the Bengals because of that front seven, and the Steelers used him the right way. They blitzed him a bit. I got this feeling, there's nobody said anything about it unless I missed it, but I got this feeling the Bengals are going to blitz a ton, and I think that's a big reason why they need a Mike Hilton. They're going to use this. I mean, he's good in coverage, but they're going to blitz this slot corner a lot. That's going to be a factor. So I think he'll have a heck of a season here. Troy Hill, who can play outside, but the Browns got him for inside. I got him at 4. A couple big-time pickups there from the Rams, actually, specifically for the Browns. Bryce Callahan's been one of the better slot corners. Health has been the issue with Callahan. If he can stay fully healthy the entire year, he can be maybe up to that 2 spot. I'm not ready to say Kenny Moore's not the number 1 slot corner. So I'll say the 2 spot, but he's played like the best in football before. Sean Murphy-Bunting played out of his damn mind in the playoffs last year. I mean, ridiculous plays he was making. He was one of my draft crushes out of Central Michigan, so I'm glad to see him kind of taking off here. If he can put a complete season together, play like he did in that playoffs, he can be up to that 2 spot as well. So we need to see that more consistently. Jonathan Jones has been, almost like in a good way quiet, doesn't give up much, just kind of locks it down from the slot where you don't hear his name a lot. Sometimes that's great, for a corner in general. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson was kind of known more as a safety, but yeah, does play in the slot in the box, has definitely improved his game, especially last year. I like his ability to attack the ball as well and make the tackle, because that was actually a little bit of a concern at Florida. He could tackle, but he had some sloppy moments as well, so that is a good sign there. Desmond King, going from the Titans to the Texans, yeah, it's an obvious one. He's been a pretty good slot corner. He almost looked better like his first year or two on the Chargers. So let's see if he can get better, back to going there. But I thought he played pretty damn well when he came to the Titans last year. The Texans grabbed him here on a 1-year deal, maybe banking on getting a good compensatory pick. That's felt like the Texans' route was this offseason. Quan Williams has been a pretty solid slot corner as well. It's just the question is health for a lot of these 49ers players, it seems, but another very good slot corner. And there's more that are very solid. A lot of young guys. The Vikings got Mackenzie Alexander back. He used to play like a top 10 slot corner at one point. Justin Coleman, same thing, at one point played like that. He's now with the Dolphins. Can he get back to playing like that? A lot of young guys that came in, that it depends on if they're going to play slot corner. We talked about the Titans moving on Desmond King. Elijah Mullen could be a damn good slot guy there. Aaron Robinson, the Giants, surprisingly I thought he's a badass slot corner as well. But yeah, this is kind of an underrated position. It's just and it's understandable. It's because these guys aren't on the field, or slot corners in general aren't on the field 100% of the time. Some of them are, but so I guess that's why it kind of gets swept under the rug. But it's actually very, very tough to play. I played the position. I would rather cover just a deep ball against a speed demon or a guy that's way bigger than me than cover a quick slant. That was my opinion. So I think playing the slot actually could be harder at times, depending on the scheme and the coverage there that they are running. So those are my cornerback rankings. Went over a lot here. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Hopefully nobody skimmed through and missed the slot defenders. Sometimes that happens, but it's all right. We're always talking on our Twitter. We're talking in the comments. Let me know your thoughts. Please smash the like button, subscribe. Be much, much appreciated. We got safeties next. Again, we'll rank some coaches, rank units, offenses, defense, everything. We got predictions as well. So join us. That's going to do it. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.